Hi, this is Patrick Ian Moore, Editor-in-Chief of Edibles Magazine, and we are here today at the Pharm Aide Pharms Farm in Hugo, Oklahoma with Wade Walker. How are you today, Wade?
Fine, Patrick.
And today we're going to be talking about a lot of things. Actually, there's a long, rich, and complicated story going on with some very important elements of it. So just to start off, can you give us a little bit of background on who you are, where we are, the family history as far as the industry goes?
Okay, yeah. We're a family farm. We were out on the West Coast for about 20 years, and then we were growing out there under Prop 215 and in the business out there. My son Skylar was raised out there in Mendocino. And then I guess about whenever Colorado went recreational, Skylar went to Colorado on some consulting gigs, and he wound up buying property there and setting up a farm in Colorado. So one made the whole circle. That we had 2 licensed operations at the time, and then Oklahoma went to voting it in, and so we already had our place here. So we just come in and went to setting up here. So we were 3 state licenses at the time. Mm-hmm. And my family's been involved in it for our whole lives, and so like I said, we made a move out to Mendocino County and then Willow Creek, Humboldt County, 20 years ago. And so we're back home now. We're back here in Oklahoma, and nice. We sold the farms in California and Colorado, and so we're just here focusing on the job here.
And people might know if they are fans of Edibles Magazine or they follow our website or our company. We did, back until the very end of 2017, distribute Pharm Aide Pharms flower through the edibles list for people who knew about that. And then in the fall of 2018, we featured a pretty great comprehensive article about the farm in Colorado, all about Skylar and what he was doing there. I stayed there for a couple of days.
Right.
It was really cool. And then the next time we saw you, some pretty heavy stuff had gone down with Skylar.
Yeah, to take it, let's say lightly, it's well, in 2018 we went through 2017. It took a couple of years to get the license down there. They had a 2-year residency requirement. And so we went through all the county things, and Skylar had worked a great relationship with the county, and to build up that property and have it all compliant, build all the structures and all those things. And we got into 2017 applying for the licenses and all, and we kind of got caught in a local moratorium that came up. And it kind of was knocking us out, actually, but we went back before the commissioners, and Skylar did a great job of explaining that we were already in the process. Was being approved by Med on the state level at that time, and then we would, what the county had directed was to come back to the county after approval on the state level for the county. So it put us out of, by the time that went through and we finally got licensed and everything, we were in about mid-June, late June, too late for the season. So
right. There
was no planting at all on the property for 2017. So there was no plants there at all. We just kept building instruction and preparing for 2018. 2018 we rolled out. We rolled out and we had a full count, about 3 acres of plants on it. I think we had 1,600 in those numbers, somewhere like that, and under the 1,800 plant count that Colorado had in the first count. And so we had a great year. We grew a lot of crop, and by the time the season was ending, the fall hit, just like it did on the West Coast. Prices plummeted. And with the regulations, cost of compliance, and taxes and everything based on excise taxes in Colorado and everything, we were hitting at 22.5% right off the top. When prices went to going down to $400 on whole flour, $50 on biomass and things like that, it just was, it run it down. So we didn't move much product in 2018 at the end of the year. We moved a little bit, and then we just kind of let it set till we was going to come back a couple months 2019.
And for people who don't necessarily know, $400 is low.
It's very low.
It's lower than
very low
for a very low.
And then when you take the 22.5% off the top between county and state excise taxes, and then you still got to deal with Uncle Sam at the end of the year.
Right.
280 issues and everything, which it really narrows you down. It's put you out of business basically at those prices, But we figured hopefully, like we've seen in California, the gluts come and go, harvest season. There's a lot of glut of product. You can hold over till some more into the year. In the next year, your prices may go up some. So we we were set and knew, you know, in the 2018, in the January, February, March, somewhere we could probably start moving product. So we came back here, and I'd already previously had a guy here setting us up for the season on the new licenses here and everything. So we came back here focusing on that. Skylar was in a relationship that, you know, had kind of soured on him, I guess, and as young men go, he was pretty upset in his head over it, things like that. And so he went back to California, was going to be at the place in California for a bit. And, well, he made a big mistake. He decided he would bring some old product that he had there, grown under Prop 215 medical product, just sitting around. Decided he was going to bring it back this way, and that was a big mistake. And so he did. He loaded it, and then he got caught in Amarillo, Texas.
And by product, we're specifically talking about
the marijuana.
like pounds of
Pounds,
flour.
yeah, well, pounds of flour, basically pounds of flour, yeah. Some pounds that he had left over, you know, and stuff. It was older product. And like I said, he got stopped. He got caught in Amarillo, you know, and well, Texas is illegal. We all know that.
Yeah, they have no medical. They have no
medical.
recreational,
They have nothing like that. And so, which, you know, it was something that he shouldn't have done, but he did. But the way it all played out in the end, though, overall, they wound up getting a sentence that was just crazy for this day and time for this. He should have only had at the maximum. In the federal level, there's no parole, no probation, so it would have been a probational level in most situations in state, but under federal, since there is no probation, there was definitely going to be time to be done. But, you know, it was looking at in the 24-month ranges and things like that. Should have been. So, well, when they went to looking into Skylar's been a very enterprising young man. Like I said, he was raised on the West Coast. And so as legalization came, and what he had learned was legal now. And he's gotten very, very good at setting up companies and setting up facilities and getting compliant, dealing with the local officials and all of those things over. And so they found out, of course, he had interest in three licenses.
In three different
Three
states.
licensed legal states
Right.
that he had interest in, owned interest in those licenses and the operations. So basically what it wound up being was, overall, without, you know, we'll get to Don Flannery at some point, who was Skylar's appellate attorney, and Adam Tisdale, his first attorney out of Amarillo.
Oh yeah, we're gonna call them
Later.
later.
Right. I'd like to let them get to the actual legal sides of things and
Yeah.
on this. But basically what it come down to was that sentencing and things, you know, Skylar, you know, made a plea with them. And at sentencing, they basically used his legal interest as relevant conduct, they call it. On the federal level, it's a point system when you go to sentencing, and it's by criminality or your past or things like that, it adds it up, you know, further. And where Skylar should have been at 1 point system would have placed him at a maximum of 24, 27 months, something in that area. It actually, they pumped him up to 60 months, $150,000 fine. Skylar's never been in trouble before. It's a first timer. And it was all based on his legal actions. Just the action that was there would not have shut them down. And so it's pretty much now he's sitting on a 60-month sentence, and, you know, there's appeals going on that. And that's pretty much where that started with there. But when they found out about the operations in Colorado and stuff, there we had a large amount of product of marijuana in the barns and all that was on matrix tracking system, and we were following all the rules of MED, which is the Marijuana Enforcement Division of Colorado. And so they came out one morning as my wife and I was there. My wife was the other half of the ownership of that company. As we were there up then, had pulled tests and opened the metrics up the evening before and pulled tests. And so we were going to get some tests and see if we could start marking some of it to get it. The next morning we were raided, about 20 carloads of DEA, a couple of choppers in there. And then they just went through our cabin next door, went through the farm down there. Of course, they find nothing. There's no charges against us. There's no, even the MED, the regulators. We had no charges. We had no fault towards it. But they decided they'll take the inventory. So, I mean, you know, we've done struggled for 3 years, worked hard within that county. County commissioners and working people in that county knew that Skylar was a hard-working young man to put this facility together. And that county was counting on the taxes like they all are. They're all looking for the money. And then to turn around and strip that out of for something that he done that had nothing to do with it. I can understand coming out with for an inspection, you know, and seeing if the product was there. Was he taking this product from there? That's what their point was, you know, but it wasn't. It was all there. But then still take it. And so that pretty much just, you know, put that company out of business.
And what would the value of what was taken, what was the, let's say, the retail value on that?
The retail value on that would have been at the wholesale level, selling it just all as whole flour as processors. At the time, whole flour was bringing about $200 to $275 a pound. So it would have been approximately 3,300, close to 3,400 pounds there. So, you know, we're talking close to $1 million, you know, between 800,000 and $1 million of gross. Now that gross is broke all up, you know. At these points, we weren't going to be seeing really any money, you know, at that point, you know, because of all the profit situation. The 22.5% of that would have went to the state and the county and the whole deal. But my biggest point that really gets me over the whole thing, of course, and worried about my son and sitting in prison now and this virus thing going on, he's definitely put in the camp, his trustee status, of course, and works down, he's at a prison down in Pensacola, Florida.
Yeah, what's the name of the place?
Saufley Field. And it's a camp, he works over on the military base and stuff. But with this virus and thing going on, you know, I've been hearing all over the country, and there's been memos handed out to start releasing a lot of these folks. And when you look at the situations they're in down there, I mean, there's no way to distance these people. They've quarantined them, and we're hoping they're quarantining them to let them all out, or are they just looking through which ones. But they quarantined them to 14 days, and I mean, there's no distance between you at all in any way. It's kind of a life and death situation in some ways, you know, if you get caught, you know, like I said, I don't know nothing about the virus or nothing, but what I see on TV, some people it seems to take out, some people it's nothing to it.
Right, and you were saying there's no soap?
Yeah, and you know, they're letting them shower once a week when they take them out to shower. Of course, they're delivering their meals, I believe I've been told, to the cell block there. And I think he's in dorms, and they think it's 10 or 12 or something in dorm rooms, so they're confined to their dorm rooms. But like I said, it's a very small area, so, and you know, there's hardly any medical things, attentions there, anything either. And then we've been seeing these mandates of letting them out and, you know, let them go home on ankle bracelets and things like that. We're seeing and hearing more that they're coming out of other institutions like Texarkana that's more, doesn't have the work programs and things. I tell you what really started seeing and looking to me like was down there, there's a big work program. There's some private companies involved into running the prisons, and of course to meet the need of the military bases, NAS and Eglin Air Force Base down the road in Fort Walton Beach. That's what they do. They have contracts to handle all the groundskeeping. So that's what the inmates there at camp are.
And they pay them 13 cents
13
a day?
cents a day, I believe it is. I mean, you know, so I mean, I don't know what they charge, you know, for their contract. You know, I'm sure it's pretty good.
So I just want to make sure everybody heard that. We said 13 cents a day.
A day. And things like, you know, in the quarantine and things, they're going to quarantine, but then some they still take to work on here. But then they bring them back to the dorm. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all.
And this is the base where the Blue Angels?
The Blue Angels was.
Headquarters?
Yeah, and actually where that shooting, the terrorist thing was at,
right.
was down there a few months ago now.
And it's a private prison?
It's a federal prison, but they have a private company that has some contracts of running and doing certain things with it, you know. And
so it's not, there's someone whose financial best interest is in not releasing.
Right, there's 700 something inmates in this institution. I ain't heard of none of them walking out yet. And every one of these inmates here are trustee status, so they wouldn't be there.
And so for anybody
most are all, it's drug crimes.
Right, it's trustee status.
Trustee status, drug crimes, or they say about a third or so blue collar, you know,
so
all the way from Washington
security.
D.C. all the way down. You know, it's a camp. That's why Skylar, we looked up before, as during sentencing and the time before you had to go a camp that would be, and we have some family down there, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where he went. But then, like I said, being there 6 months and really seeing it in situations, it does make you, you know, nobody's getting out of here yet, you know what I mean? And but we're hearing in other institutions they are, like in Texas County and things like that going on. I know it's going to take time if that's what they're planning to do, and they're categorizing them down. But I mean, you know, how much time does it take to get them out? Or, I mean, you know, or does it take people to go to dine and drop it in there? And you know, the guards down there, I'm sure they're worried coming in and out of there. They're the one, they'll either bring it in, and if they get it from there, they're taking it to their families.
We started talking to you guys about doing this story before the COVID-19 outbreak was
Right.
a very big deal. I
Right.
think early January, so maybe there were some whispers of it.
Uh-huh.
But this took a much more dramatic
Yeah.
turn in the immediacy of them being unable to isolate or quarantine and
Right.
trapped together.
Right.
So as it stands right now, how much time does Skylar still have left to serve?
Skylar is on a 60-month, the federal knocks off 15% of good time credit pretty much off the top. So I think that puts him down at around 50 months. And then they even have this thing going on right now, what is it, the SAFER Act, that President Trump had signed in to start reducing the population of the federal prison, especially older inmates, those that was coming in. I believe it's, I can't remember the exact.
First Step Act.
First Step Act, that's right.
First
that's
Step
right.
Act.
Yeah, so that's been in place down there, and even that, I mean, you had all these people that were thinking, hey, I'm qualifying for that, and I mean, Skylar's been there 6 months and ain't nobody walked out. You know, and these things were handed down quite a while back to start making a move on it before this virus thing, you know. And like I said, I'm just concerned that they're not trying to make moves at all because they're money makers. I mean, it's a money making thing. And I mean, if anybody qualifies to get out, all these guys do. I mean, they're ready. As soon as they hit a point in their time anyway, they're already qualified for halfway house or home release, you know, with ankle bracelets and things. And like Skylar and things like that, he has a home. He has a home to go to. He has a job to go to. He has all these things, and actually they could be trying to let him work and let him pay his fine, if anything, what it should have been in the first place. This day with marijuana, and coming in, you come through a wrong state, untaxed marijuana coming through my state, and just put people away like this for 6 years and things like it, never had any trouble at all. I mean, they qualify for this release now, you know, and a lot of these inmates are going straight to a place to be at home and have work and have jobs, you know, and I just don't, with all this going on, you got to look at releasing them, is the way I see it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's being directed down. I mean, it's being handed down. There was a couple of memos that's been handed down by the Attorney General William Barr. And so it's just making criteria of which one's this or what. But, you know, things can move a little faster, in my opinion, you know.
And but right now you're not allowed to visit.
No, they shut off all the visits 3 weeks ago. Actually, they shut them off before they ever started quarantining. They put them into quarantine. I think they've been in about 7 days or something in quarantine, which Skylar said the first 2 days of that, I mean, they took him over to the base to work.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's a job over there. I mean, I don't think grass can grow up to your butt around them $1 million jets. You know, I mean, so I'm sure somebody's got to be figuring out something, who's going to be doing what there and who's what if the inmate labor's not there. You know, but yeah, they're quarantined from this point. They haven't been, you know, they're not letting out. Today he was able to make a phone call, and that's how I was able to talk to him, you know. They let him out, and they said it'd be next Tuesday. So once a week, they'll let him have a phone call.
Wow.
And
why did they pull him over?
why did they pull Skylar over? Well, I profiled, and that's all there is to it. I mean, you come out of New Mexico on Interstate 40 and all the way over to the Oklahoma City line, and especially with Oklahoma got legal and Colorado's had their thing in California. It's just a big racket. They pulling over left and right. And Skylar was in a little county, Oldham County, on the other east side of Amarillo. And it's just a small little town, and way out in the country there. But basically that's where they had been setting up. I mean, that's all they were doing, 4 or 5 of them at a time sitting on the road. They're all up and down there. And they just basically profiled him. He was in an RV, and I guess a single man in an RV caught their attention. They pulled out, and then got behind him, and they do their little tricks running up on you and all that. But Skylar pulled, had he passed a semi, had to pass a semi as of course he's behind the traffic. So as it approaches all, Lawson, everybody starts slowing down. So he had to start slowing down behind the semi, and as he went by, then he got over and was getting on past him, and by then the troopers done jumped out there, and he's run up on him, and of course Skylar gets over until he gets up far enough to shoot over to the right, and basically that's where he shot his lights on just immediately. So that's the things that he got over too quick was the deal. But later on it was with the cameras, the dashboard cameras and all that taken, gotten from our lawyers, it was established that it wasn't at all. Skylar was well within his legal length to get over and things. So, it started leading to, it was a strong case that they illegally pulled him over. That's all there is to it. And endangering the public, running up there 90 miles an hour on people constantly. But they had no reason to pull him over, so they pulled him over, and then of course that's all they want to know is to search your vehicle. So, he denied search, and eventually dogs come, and they found him.
What was the reason that the basis for trying to ask him to search the car? What was the probable cause?
That I'm not ready. Now that I think we should leave into the with Adam and Don Flannery, Adam Tisdale and Don Flannery.
And how much was in the RV?
370 pounds. Right. Of course, when they picked it up, they claimed it all along 500, but that was if they just weigh the whole bag, they weigh everything, all the wrapping and everything in the beginning, and kind of inflate it to make it sound a little bigger. But in the end, you got to unwrap it and weigh the actual illegal product. And so from there, Skylar was released on pre-trial release and came back here to Oklahoma. He was still able to work in the industry, but as a consultant and non-touching plants or material. And that's what he really does. I mean, he really loves that too, anyway. He's really good at building the facilities and things. And so we spent a year here while he was out before sentencing and dealing with the truck court and everything like that. We spent the year here building this facility out right here. So he had me up and ready to go by the time we had done pulled through the season. And
that was when we visited the last time.
Yeah, you were here. Yeah, exactly.
I think at that time we weren't actually aware of the arrest or anything else.
Right, exactly. We were hoping for better results.
Right.
Well, and when they confiscated everything from Colorado, they never charged you guys for any of that. They just used it as relevant
conduct against Skylar. Yeah, the DEA people that were there and the local with Med and everything like that in that raid were all out of Colorado Springs, that district there. Amarillo, the district out of Amarillo, never did send nobody up there. That was to them. So they saw no need to file any charges. They saw nothing illegal. And then, like I said, in the Med regulators, were never, said we were out of line on anything. Everything was there, under metrics. It was under a tracking system. It was there. All it could have been done, and really could have been done, is come on in and look at the stuff. It's still here. Are there any Med regulations being violated? If not, it's still here. And it did, and not took it. And then who would have gained really the most overall still is the state and the county and the federal government, the IRS. They would have got all the tax monies and beat it all up. But instead, they take it and who knows where it goes. I don't assume they burn it or whatever they do. But, it's just but the biggest thing of it is breaking down a company. I mean, this was my son and my wife's company. I was consulting on that gig. They owned it. They owned that license and deal. And it basically, what if this was, we've entertained numerous investment groups, financial groups that wanted to come in with millions of dollars like these things, like they do all over the country.
Sure.
And we just never found nothing that fit us right. So we didn't. But it could have very easily been corporate America with trust, shareholders, a dozen, 20 of shareholders. What does that mean? The same damn thing that if someone gets in trouble out here that's investing and is part of a company or something, and you go out and get in trouble that has nothing to do with this business at all, that they can just come in and bankrupt the business on everybody? Well, I tell you, that's where I've been doing this a while, and from California, this and that, and I guess you just forget what it is like in still other parts of the country and how crazy it is, the difference between federal and state laws.
Mm-hmm.
And how this is out of what, 30-something, 40-something states are doing this now? And then we still don't have a federal level changing yet? And all of the money that's going in, right here, we're right here. We had 7 employees right here with decent paying job right here. Better than what, is the most of here.
Right.
And of course the virus is the reason for that situation.
Mm-hmm.
We had several mothers, they had kids at home, and they can't be here, but look what what is paying in and what it's doing, but we're still treated this way. I mean, all they were really looking for the most, of course, financial documents and things, and see, and in most cases like that, I guess if real drug dealers, they ain't never got no tax, they ain't never paid no taxes and all that. Well, they found it, we're tax-paying people. We pay our shake of what was in there. That's why there was none of that. And the biggest thing after looking through financial paperwork is, where's the money? Well, what damn money? There ain't no money. You see, look at the records. All the records were sitting on the desk down at the farm. Everything, all the taxes had done been paid on it and every damn thing else,
Mm-hmm.
They wanted the money. But what I can tell you though is, if it had been $1 million there, taxes paid on it, clean money. Well, we can't bank. So what are we supposed to do? But if we'd have had it hidden around the house, they'd have dug it up and they took that too.
Yeah.
Well, you said they tried to open your safe.
Oh yeah, they took the safe, they found our safe down at the farm and they brought it to the cabin where we were. And of course they took them an hour or so to find the right keys, and it kind of was upset, and they figured we knew where a key was or whatever. And I said, I don't know where a damn key is, but if you're looking for money, ain't no damn money in there, because there ain't none. So, they worked on it for about an hour, and finally he found the right key. So before he picked it up, he had to have somebody looking at it. And of course, disappointment all over their face when he opened up, because there ain't no money. That's what I told you guys, there ain't no damn money. There ain't no money in it. But the point of it is, they could have took it.
Yeah.
They would have took it. And that was the main thing they wanted.
And they didn't raid your California or Oklahoma farms?
No.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I really don't know. The attorneys were saying that but California was recreational. We had recreational license in California, we had recreational license in Colorado. Here is medical.
Mm-hmm.
There was a memo come down by this new attorney general at some point about staying out of backing up one of the old memos of the past bunch. I'm not as up on that as I should be, but one of the past bunch, the cold memo or something like that, backing that up, that the Fed would stay out of states and things like that. That was people and leave people alone that were abiding by the state laws and all. But I think with the next memo by the new attorney general, I think he said medical marijuana. So when you leave out medical, well, that don't mean recreational. Mm-hmm. So it kind of looked like until then, and then the next memo come out, I think it's been corrected. They're saying all marijuana, not cannabis. So, but at that point, it could have put you in classification. We can't mess with them over there in the medical situation. Because that's what everybody was looking at, basically that old memo that tells them what they can and they can't do. Now diversion would have been, of course, but there was no diversion. They found it, it was there. So there was no reason, that's why there was no charges. If there would have been a diversion, the federals would have charged, and they would have charged my wife too.
And just so everybody knows, when we say diversion,
yeah, that means diverting legal product out of a legal operation into the black market.
right, or taking it into a different state.
Or taking it into a different state. Exactly. Crossing the state line, Texas says no. Yeah. And and hey, Texas dads, they can remember the days of alcohol. I mean, I grew up in Louisiana, and around here, just more still areas of Louisiana and Florida and Alabama that are dry counties, you know.
Right.
So I mean, it's you kind of understand that, but I mean, what do they steal them out of the day? Do they send somebody off for 6 years and things like that over? I mean, it's a tax issue. Why not just tax him?
Right.
You ain't supposed to be here through with this. I mean, in other words, things that make sense and fit the times. you know.
And this is a precedent-setting case because never before has someone's legal recreational licenses been used against them for relevant conduct for sentencing before.
Yes, that's what we understand, and that's, like I said, his counsel, Don Flannery and Adam Tisdale, we're gonna speak with them and get all the nuts and bolts of that from their mouths, because I definitely don't, can't speak upon the ins and outs of that, but that's the wrangle of it, it's pretty much relevant conduct. And and a lot of that goes by, it's a pre-sentencing report. So it's the parole, they say parole probation, but ain't no probation in the system anymore. But anyways, that division looks at it. So basically it looked like the reports that I looked at was all written up out of Dallas. A parole officer down there, I'm sure, or something, just writes it up there. It's all federally illegal. I mean, this. You point out, well, he had access to 1,500 plants on the property. Yes, and he could have had 1,800. His license would have given him that. So all of these things were pointed out, and many more that were pointed out and used, and not being able to, like I said, there's a lot goes on the legal side that I just know Don and Adam would love to talk to,
Well, I was reading the appeal, and he was not allowed any objections, and no evidence was allowed into the court sentencing or anything in his case. So
It's that simple. It's all illegal on the federal.
no objections, no evidence.
No nothing.
And when did his appeal get filed? January?
Within the month. No, several months ago, but his brief, I believe Don said, was being read. And again, that's stuff that I'd like Don and them to really.
What message would you have for the regulators in government, the lawmakers out there, the private prisons that are keeping the prisoners unfairly housed and violating their civil liberties of just the right to good health and sanitation?
Well, as far as the regulators over the cannabis, when is the craziness going to stop? I mean, you got all these states legal. They're pouring billions of dollars of tax money are being paid. Cities, counties, municipal areas are propping themselves up on income to come in from marijuana. I mean, look at Oklahoma itself. I don't know the figures, but it's way up there, just in application fees and things, And they come out with a free market, it's reasonable licensing, and so far they ain't beat it to death. Hopefully they won't, and beat us out. Oklahoma's set itself up to be one of if they don't beat it up and overregulate it and tie us up, to be the leader in cannabis production, I really believe, when the federal level changes. So our business can go state to state and globally, like Canada has already been doing and jumped way ahead of us. While we sit here and we sink. And then entrepreneurs and people that are just trying to make it in business, as you jump out, it's the fastest thing since .com that's come up. I mean, so people are trying to do something. But then when you really look at the reality, it's like, like I said, living out of California and doing this for so long, but then coming from back here in the South, all those years, and marijuana could put you off for 20, 30 years, just a small amount. But after years of that, like I said, I forgot. And I know my son, he's young, he didn't know this side of things. He knew Mendocino, he knew California, he knew how cannabis was viewed there. He only knew it from a legal standard than what he stupidly done to do that. But it damn sure still don't deserve the sentence that he got, and it goddamn sure don't deserve sitting there where there's a death sentence that could possibly happen. And, they say the conditions and things like that, he's had bronchitis and stuff, and, I don't know, but bottom, whatever you've had, you can't keep people tight like that. And if it breaks, it breaks. It's already breaking out in other prisons, federal levels and all. States are turning them loose left and right. State of Texas has been turning loose quite a few. Actually, some lawsuits against an institution in Texas I hear down here about some of the unsanitary issues that they're dealing with, and not. So I mean, I just don't understand why a federal prison camp with everybody in that camp trustee status, or they would not be there, that they're not releasing them. And there was a group that put a petition out called the compassionate campers. And it was about that institution. That it sits on a military base. When you drive in the military gate, the prison's right here. You mean the backside of it, there's military housing. They live. So how are you keeping this from them, or if it's there, from military and civilian workers in there, and then the guards? You know, there's no way. And then, like they pointed out, if we have them to ship hospitals to other places in ships and all these things, well, this is right down here around. This is military. These dorms are completely set and ready, and the quickest thing they could possibly do to turn into hospitals or situations like that's needed if the things gets worse and worse. They're there and ready, and they're set on military bases. Instead, what I've heard, they brought in a semi too with some beds in it, so that the inmates, if they start breaking down, they'll separate them in there, I reckon. So I don't see it. I really don't see it. I don't see why they're not moving them out faster and faster. At least let them go till the shit clears.
We'll let them wash their hands with soap.
Yeah, exactly. There's no hand sanitizers. There's none of that. Hell, from what I understand, in the federal level around there, they don't even let them have bleach. They'll clean with bleach in the whole damn institution.
And they've limited the commissary.
Yeah, they limited the commissary down to just draw, I think it's $25 on it. And so, you know, it's just crazy. It's really crazy. And like I said, it's not just him. I mean, it's everybody out here. This drug thing, period. But damn sure the marijuana. I mean, we're right around the damn corner from being fully legal. I mean, look at the MORAD. It's moving through fast until it gets shoved to the side for a while. And of course, it's election year. There was impeachment from there. And then now we got, oh Lord, I don't know what we got now with this virus. You know, so it's all being shoved aside. Why can't it go on and just move fast on that? We're deemed essential businesses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stores can stay open. I got a letter of essential to move around in Oklahoma to deliver medical, marijuana, cannabis to these places. But then again, even on that, small business loans and things to prop us up. Nah, we don't qualify. Don't qualify at all, but we're essential. It's just crazy. And what people really need to look at, everybody, I don't give a damn, you want to go and use marijuana, use cannabis, you want to go into business or not. Just look at how this industry, this product, this plant is being beat all to death, but they're the biggest gainers of it. The biggest handout for the dollar that we have fed with this is IRS and the states and counties that we've set up in. They're the biggest takers of it all. But we turned around and beat down, and the bottom down line is, at any moment, the federal government can come kick your door down just like they could ours, throw us all to the damn ground. And I guess I'd be sitting in the same shoes. Hopefully they'd put me there with my boy. But that's what the deal is. And big investment, big money, it happened to in that way too. This shit's got to change. This is hugely important, and it's important to what we're doing, and you know, in the cannabis movement, getting federally legalized and getting our businesses in a better angle and everything, you know, and getting my son released and all the others that are in there for the same damn things. Turn them out, free the beds up. There's some that got to be there. There's a lot of them don't need to be there. They can be out here paying taxes, helping support whatever the hell's going on now, and wherever we're going now, than keeping people tied down like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This was the Edibles List interview with Wade Walker about the Free Skywalker campaign.
In an effort to save the lives of nonviolent prisoners during the current global pandemic and to provide prisoners the protective supplies they need to stay healthy and sanitary and alive, A portion of the proceeds of every Pharm Aide Pharms pre-rolls purchased in Oklahoma in 2020 will go to hashtag Cut 50 by the Dream Corps, whose mission is to prevent a prison pandemic using common sense solutions. As well as the Justice Project, who is lobbying for criminal justice reform. Pharm Aide Farms full ground pre-rolls are made with high quality, sun-grown, all natural, pesticide-free, whole top shelf buds. These joints were made with love by the team at Oklahoma Infusions Inc. Join the cause. Pre-rolls preventing prison pandemics. Hashtag Cut 50.